What's up guys, Clark, welcome back. And in this video, I wanna give you 7 productivity hacks that you can do in under a minute that have saved me 1 full day a week. By productive, I mean your output is significantly better or more with less time. So something that used to take you 6 or 7 hours, you compress it down, you can do it in 1 or 2, well, you just saved yourself 5. Or you don't get distracted and scroll for an extra 3 hours during the workday or when you're supposed to be doing something and boom, you save 3 right there. Okay, so that's what I mean by a full day over the course of a week. Easily, these tips have saved me that. Here we go. All right, let's start with the banger. You've heard of daily to-do lists. Write down what you're supposed to do, little boxes, check it off. I want you to experiment this week with weekly to-do lists. Right here, this was a game changer. Maybe you've had the experience of doing a daily to-do list and you find yourself putting things on there like take out the trash, reply to this person. And it takes you longer to write take out the trash and then to later consciously get up and do it, take it out and then check it off, than if you didn't write it and you just did it. Dozens of things I found when I was doing daily to-do lists wound up on there like that, like reply to this person. Well, you don't need to write it down, you just need to reply to the person. You doing a weekly to-do list is essentially you setting goals for that week. If everything went perfect, what do you want to get done that week? Yeah, some things you won't hit, but your output will be higher than the weeks you don't. Number 2, there's something called psychological startup time, where you're working really hard writing on a paper or doing something for work, let's just say. A coworker comes, distracts you, has this big 5-minute conversation with you with lots of other details. Well, now your brain's going towards that. The amount of focus it takes you to get back to that same state that you were before you got interrupted, that's gonna take 5, 10, maybe even 15 minutes. Maybe you never get back to that state. Now think about how many times throughout the day that happens. And then the crazy part is think about how much we do that to ourselves with, just scrolling. And I mean, that's psychological startup time right there. In fact, American Psychological Association found that distractions can reduce productivity by up to 40%. The concept is task batching. Now you might already do this, like Saturday rolls around for you and you go run errands like a lot of people. They go to the cleaners or go to the gym and then hit the grocery store on the way back. Because once you're out and about, it's easier to just go boom, boom, boom. The principle is do that with things in your life and ideally your work. We'll get a lot of time back. Meal prepping is a great example. Instead of you setting everything up that takes 10, 15 minutes, you cut that down if you just make double the amounts and save leftovers. Yeah, I would look for themes throughout your week. If you have a time where you're really creative, batch your creative work into that. If you have a time where you're really analytical and you can respond to emails, batch that all in an hour. It's a good way you can start batching things. Hey, if you like this video, you'll love our email list. It's a weekly newsletter that I'm committing to this year, where each week I send directly to your inbox. You also get our 11 questions that'll change your life as a free bonus. 100% free, I'll link it down below. Now here's the next tip. Dude, I'm telling you, this is the best $10 purchase you will ever make, and it'll help you be more productive. This is the kitchen timer. It's $10, 15 bucks on Amazon. I call it the time chunker because it's what you do. You set it to as much time as you need. So I like doing 60-minute blocks and you hit it and you try not to get up for that 60 minutes or check your phone or get distracted. I know this will sound really simple, but having something, I guess this is digital, but like analog, physical that you can turn and play with and visually see, it's so motivating and it gives you a little dopamine hit when you finish a 60-minute work block. And don't underplay that, because dopamine's like such a powerful chemical for motivation. Yeah, I just get a sense of accomplishment when I hear that beep at the end of an hour. And it also helps you gauge how long you think things will take. And then after the hour's done, I get up, I stretch, I go water my garden, I throw the ball for my dog. Maybe I'll even pull out my phone, scroll through some shorts then, and then back at it if I need another hour. I started viewing my day in like 4, maybe 5 of those 1-hour chunks instead of like, okay, I'm gonna get up and work for 10, 12 hours straight. Just drain yourself. You creatively can't do that, right? You can't be creative for 12 hours a day. You can't force things like that. But I find that the next tip fits really perfectly here. Sometimes you're not productive because you're spending too much time on something. That's an interesting take right there. Like when I was starting this YouTube channel, I quit my jobs. I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm going all in. And I was miserable. No one prepared me for how lonely entrepreneurship was. All my friends, I was like, hey, you wanna hang out? I got the day off, I'm my own boss. They're like, no, dude, we gotta go to work. I remember waking up in my house, like I was living in my mom's basement, just like, God, I hope she doesn't leave so I'm not alone anymore. Kind of heavy, but yeah, it was dark. Moreover, I just didn't want to produce videos. I was like burned out from the loneliness, to be totally honest. So what I did is I went out and got a job part-time. I was a middle school counselor, Boys and Girls Club. Loved it. I got paid to have the most fun summer you can have. Going on field trips, camping, get called a loser because you're living in mom's basements, get told you have back fat. Yeah, Clark's a YouTuber, but he's a boring YouTuber. And nothing will humble you faster than a ruthless 12-year-old just roasting you. I digress. Where were we? Oh yeah, okay, deadline compression. So I got that job, and for 20 hours a week, I was working somewhere. But I noticed I produced more content, my mood was better, things just worked better when I worked less. And that's what the challenge I want to give you is like, how can working less actually be a benefit to you? How can you compress your deadline for the thing you want to do? Or if you're creative, maybe don't give yourself 12 hours a day to be creative. Maybe you give yourself 3. There's something called Parkinson's law. Tasks expand to the time allowed for them. You've experienced this if you've had a deadline of like a paper. You have 2 weeks to do it. When are you writing that thing? For most of us, it's like the last 12 hours till it's due. You're submitting it at 11:59 p.m. My goal this year is how can I grow the business more and be done by noon every day? Yeah, that's a real cool intention that gets me excited. And I'm experimenting with compressing the deadline down to something like that. But remember that Parkinson's law, your tasks, however long you give it, will expand to the time allotted. This next one's a quickie. That was my nickname in high school. And just like that, I think I can give this one to you in 30 seconds. This is a sonic loop. So you're gonna take a song and use it as white noise in the background. There's some evidence to suggest people work better with this. It's highly individual though. Now you're gonna repeat this song over and over and over again. Okay, so it's one song on repeat while you're working. I've personally find a lot of electronic music fits well. You can get in this like locked in deep work zone. Ambient's another great one. There's YouTube mixes, you know, the ones that are like end of the world apocalypse, limitless productivity mix. I like those are good, but I think a song loop works better for that white noise we're talking about here. What music do you listen to, Clark? All right, I'll give you a few of my top Spotify songs and embarrass myself here for you. No judgment, okay? Brand New, At the Bottom, Nothing Nowhere, Buck, Fred Again, We Lost Dancing, Silo, RL Grime, anything off the Bronson Odessa collab album. I just put that on, and that's probably my most streamed one for this song loop. Hey, that's a good question. What's your most embarrassing but like most out of pocket song loop? There we go. What's your most out of pocket song loop? Post it in the comments below. I want to know. A lot of the advice tells you to not respond to distractions and just like lock in, but that's impractical. Like you do have to respond to emails or Slack notifications or texts. The habit that's helped me in less than a minute is one touching. So if you do see something, like you don't batch emails and then you check your phone and you see an email and you're reading it, I mean, how many times do we just mark it as unread and save it for another day? And then maybe you get a nudge from Gmail saying, do you want to respond? You're like, oh shit, I was supposed to respond to that. Someone has to double text you with like the passive aggressive question mark because you didn't respond. You just marked it as unread. You're like, F you man, don't question mark me. One touching is how you avoid it. So something takes less than 1 minute to respond to, do it then. Do it then. Replying to the text message, copy and pasting the email and running it through ChatGPT and then copying and pasting that. You'll do that? That's my hack, that's my favorite. Speaking of one touching, something that takes less than 3 seconds to do, smashing that like button if you're digging these tips. Moving on. Okay, so this one, the last one, this might be the most important, and you gotta forgive me because it's not necessarily a 1 minute tip. It's more of a 1 hour tip, but you can identify it in under a minute. This is your power hour. The time of day you're most productive. There's something called your ultradian rhythms and circadian rhythms. And now, let's not geek out on theory, but it's how your energy levels fluctuate throughout the day and from hour to hour. And these are different for everyone. There's some patterns, but like it's highly individual based on your sleep-wake cycle, caffeine intake, diet, everything included, stress levels. So you're gonna have a time of day where you're most productive. Like if I give you the same task in the morning, the afternoon, and nights, you might get 3 different outputs, right? Maybe for some of you, the nighttime, it's gonna be the best product. Maybe for some of you, the morning, it's the best product. There's no right or wrong here. The point is identify what is your best time, your power hours of the day. Now notice, very important, this isn't when is the dude on social media's time who's screaming at you through the phone telling you to get up at 5 a.m. Maybe you're someone who operates terribly at 5 a.m. I've toured in the band and met tons of creatives where their best work, they don't get up till noon. And they're up till 4 a.m. every single night. And they're highly productive. When is it easiest for you to focus? For me, just to answer, if you're curious here, most days I get up at 5 a.m. without an alarm clock. I'd even get up earlier if I could, like 4 a.m., sometimes even 3:30. I'm so creative at 4 a.m., 3:30. There's something going on with like your brain waves and, you know, getting in a theta state for your subconscious activation. Yeah, for me, first thing in the morning, as early as possible, doing my creative work the first couple hours of the day. And by creative work, I mean heavy cognitively demanding writing, writing emails, writing videos, coming up with ideas, journaling, or filming. Like this video I got up at 5 a.m. to film. Let me know if you want a video on my routine that's been working well. You want a video on the weekly to-do list. You want a video on anything we spoke about here that we didn't go more in depth on, and I'm happy to do a part 2. Again, want to hop on the email list, get some inspiration sent weekly to you. I'll link down below. It's 100% free for more tips like this. You like this video? I'll link up this one on dopamine. It's a great video on how that controls your life and how to manage it so it doesn't manage you. I'll see you there. Stop settling, start living. Peace.